It's March, which means the spring is nearly here. And the springtime also represents growth. And by now, if you have watched the first 2 videos in this series, hopefully you're starting to realize some of that growth and gain momentum. Ideally, you're starting to see your debt shrink and your savings grow. And if you're saying, what other 2 videos? I'm super glad you asked. What's up guys, Frankie here. This is part 3 of the Money Resolution, the course, which is my big goal for 2020. And the structure for each video is I'm gonna give you my 5 best sort of tips and challenges for that month. I'm gonna give you 1 hack and 1 media recommendation. The idea here is to eventually package this all up and put it out there somewhere else on the internet for people to purchase, but you're here now, so you're getting it for free. The other reason I'm doing it for free first here on YouTube is I super appreciate feedback and encouragement, to be honest. So if you have anything critical to say or something just nice to say that's encouraging, go ahead and drop a comment down below. I super appreciate it. And as always, if you get some value out of this video and you like the video, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you want more content on all things save money, make money, get out of debt, and let's get started. Now, first off, I think I have to say this in every video. If you're watching this and it's not March, that is totally okay. A lot of these tips are perfect to take on any time of the year. And with all of these tips, I will say they are actionable, but also extremely challenging. So I hope you're up for a challenge. I don't expect you to try to take on all 5 of these tips, but even if you took on just 2 or 3 or modified the 5 to fit your needs, your life, your situation, that is totally cool. The idea here is just to encourage you and to give you lots of ideas to get the brain moving, rolling. You get the idea. Let's get straight to this month's 5 tips. And the first one is to try a 30-day money challenge. With these money challenges, the idea here is to save a specific amount of cash by putting aside a certain amount every single day or every single week. Now, the amount is totally up to you, but for this month, I do recommend you try to hit $150. That's just $5 a day. So it could be as simple as just stashing away $5, but the fun thing about these charts is that it tells you exactly what you need to put away on exactly what day to get to that number. I'm gonna go ahead and put one up on the screen here now. So with this one, this is clearly a 30-day challenge to get you to $100. And the thing I particularly like about this one is it asks you to start with just $1. And actually it looks like $1 for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Same thing with $2 for 5 days, $3 for 5 days. And then when you hit 5, you stick with 5 for a little bit longer. So it starts small and it gradually builds upon itself. And in the end of these 30 days, you have $100. So you can go out there and find one of these super easily on Pinterest, is actually where I find them the best for free. Or you could just create your own. So just take a notebook and plot it out day by day or week by week. You could randomize the numbers using Excel, whatever you want to do. But the idea here is to save $150 in 30 days. One little pro tip I have for you, you can do this with cash, but if you'd rather do this digitally, an app that I use personally and have been for almost 2 years now is called Tip Yourself. It's just a virtual piggy bank. And the way that I use this is I reward myself every time I go to the gym. So I put $10 in my vacation fund at Tip Yourself. And so that ends up being something like $40 a week. That's $160 each month. So if I have a trip 3-4 months away, I can easily save $500, $600, $700 in cash if I stick with this routine. So I'll put it up on the screen here. I haven't done it today. Let's go into Tip Yourself and you can see my history. I'm at $100 cash currently. I'll go ahead and hit $10. I'll just say gym equals vacation and tip myself. That's it. Hashtag, you earned it. It does take a couple of days for this cash to hit this virtual piggy bank and a couple of days to transfer it back, which is actually kind of good because then I'm not tempted to spend it. So that's kind of a little hack of how I use this. And if you thought that hack was cool, be sure to stick around till the very end because I'm really excited about the hack this month. The number 2 tip this month is to cut a subscription or 2 or 3. So this one's totally up to you. You can take the easy, medium, or hard route. I recommend you try to get to 3. So you can do this in 2 ways. First, you need to go ahead and take some time to sit down and list out all of your subscriptions. So these are things like Spotify, Netflix, technically a membership I would put in this bucket as well, something like Amazon Prime or Costco. So you have your list, you know how much you pay every single month. Now the idea here is step 2, which is to pull the trigger and hit the delete or unsubscribe button. And I know that this can be daunting, and maybe you only live without this thing for 30 days, but the reality is you might decide you don't actually need that thing, and this could be some really, really good savings after a year. Another thing to look into are magazine subscriptions. That's one that I always forget to turn off the auto renewal, so definitely take a look at that. I remember I had one magazine going to the wrong address for something like 2 years before I noticed it. Another one that had been adding up for me was a digital subscription to PlayStation. So with this membership annually, it was something like $60. That allowed me to get discounts on other games. But you know what's cheaper than discounts on games is not buying the games in the first place or be tempted to with discounts on those games. So a pro tip for you iPhone users out there is to click on settings, click on your name, which takes you into like your iCloud section. And then the fourth item down on this list says subscription, so click on that. And this is a really good, easy way to see what digital subscriptions you have through Apple. As you can see, I have one that I just canceled that's going to end on March 21st from WordSwag. This was an app that was helping me update all of my thumbnails. And then expired Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, Disney Plus, and you need a budget. So these are all things I tried out during the trial period. And then I had to go into this section and turn them off so that it didn't auto renew. So again, take inventory of all of your current subscriptions, whether they're physical things like magazines or digital subscriptions. Turn off 1 to 3 for 30 days. This next one's probably the hardest one to tackle on this entire list, but number 3 is to earn an extra $500 this month and bank 90% of it. I think no matter what amount you attempt to tackle, the key is the 90%. So a lot of times when we come into a bonus or a windfall of some kind, we're tempted to spend at least half of it. Again, I'm not gonna tell you exactly how to earn this. I have put out videos on my YouTube channel. One that I recommend is, I think it's 25 ways to make money online, which I'll put here. If you're someone like me who would rather earn money from the comfort of your couch, because bad weather and traffic and gas and people, gross. But there are lots and lots of creative ways that you can start a side hustle. I call the weekend my secret weapon. You could obviously drive for something like Uber or Lyft if you have a car and a license. You could deliver groceries through Instacart. And honestly, you're never too old to offer to mow the neighbors' lawns or even babysit. And if you want more ideas, I actually have planned in the next probably month or so to put out a video or two on how to earn passive income as well as start a side hustle in 2020. The reason I can't tell you exactly how to achieve this one is I just don't know you personally, where you live, what kind of job you have, how much extra time, how big your family is, how willing you are to work overtime per se, and actually overtime. Really good idea. Go try to achieve that this month. You could sell baked goods. You could fundraise through C's Candy or something for yourself. That's a weird example, but you get the idea. Get creative, get out there, start a side hustle, and earn up to $500 and save 90% of it in the next 30 days. At the very least, I would say try to hit $200. I think that's the perfect number to try to hit in your first attempt at side hustles. Next up, number 4 is to read a personal finance book this month. And this is honestly where it started for me in my journey to learn all things money from scratch in 2018. I picked up the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and for like 2 days, I hardly ever put that thing down, and it was honestly life-changing. So that one I recommend, and then I wrote 4 others down here, and these are sort of in the order that I discovered and read them. Otherwise, they're in no particular order, which is The Simple Path to Wealth, Broke Millennial, Financial Freedom, and I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it was super hard to pick a list of personal finance books to recommend for you in this section because I've read maybe close to 20, I'd say, in the last couple of years. But I think those 5 are perfect for anyone that is super motivated and just getting started to tackle their personal finances. And of course, I have to put a little plug in here for, not my book actually, the library. Join your local library if you have not. That is one way to get your hands on all of these books for free. A quick bonus I'll throw out there is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. He is like the godfather of all things personal finance and getting out of debt. This is one that has been on my list forever and I haven't read it, but it is one that comes highly, highly, highly recommended. I think he has like a 7-step, baby steps he calls them, plan to getting financially fit. Okay, number 5. Your last tip for this month, which is March, is actually a whole bunch of tips in one, all about tackling your credit card debt. I'm pretty sure this one's going to apply to you because the average American actually has $6,000 in credit card debt. And to tackle debt, you absolutely need a plan. The first thing you could do is pick a debt payoff strategy. So I have talked about it on this channel. The two that most people recommend are called the snowball method and the avalanche method. So very, very briefly here, the snowball method is to take all of your balances. So let's say you have 5 credit card debts, line them up highest to lowest and tackle that lowest balance first as aggressively as you can to pay it off. Mathematically, this isn't necessarily the right thing to do. You should pay off the one with the highest interest, but psychologically, this is extremely powerful to see these balances go down to zero. The avalanche method is the exact opposite, where you line up all of your debts in order of the highest interest, and you tackle that credit card with the highest interest first. Once that one's paid off, no matter the balance, then you move on to the next highest interest card. Of course, with either of these methods, be sure that you're making the minimum payment on all of your cards every single month. Either way, the next tip here in terms of paying off your credit card debt is to just double whatever you paid last month. So if you normally pay $100, this month, try to throw $200 at your credit cards. And if you earn some extra money from an earlier tip, you can put that 90% towards your credit cards to tackle this one as well. See what I did there? They kind of go together. And the third tip I'm going to give you regarding paying off your credit card debt is to research and consider a zero interest credit card balanced card. That didn't make sense. There are credit cards out there that have a 0% interest special offer for new people signing up for that card for a year. So you could transfer the entire balance of one of your highest interest cards to this no interest special credit card for 1 year. Be sure though, you only do this if you do plan to pay off that credit card within a year, because oftentimes beyond a year, the interest is extremely high on these cards. Open credit judiciously. This is likely to have an impact on your credit score. Go out there and research a 0% interest credit card and transfer the entire balance over to that card and tackle it from there. Okay, to summarize, here is the 5 tips once again. The first is to try a 30-day money challenge. The second is to cut a subscription or 2 or 3 this month. The third is to earn an extra $500, at least aim for $200 and save 90% of it. The fourth is to read a personal finance book, and I gave you, I think, 5 to 6 recommendations. And number 5 is to try 1 or more of my credit card debt payoff tips. One thing I forgot to mention with the debt payoff tips is I actually did put together a video on the YouTube channel with, I think, something like 10 tips to pay off your credit card debt fast. So I'll link that below as well as above. Okay, the hack this month is to call and have your bill due dates moved. So why is this a hack and why would I recommend you do this? Well, it's perfect for someone that gets 2 paychecks a month. So if you get paid on the 1st and 15th, what I recommend you do is try to have all of your bills hit close on or around the 15th of the month. That way, your first paycheck of the month, it goes all towards your rent or your mortgage, and your second paycheck of the month tackles all of your bills at once. This is a really, really good way to make sure that you don't get hit with any charges you weren't expecting at random times. For me, the student loan one is a really, really big one, so I need to know exactly when that's gonna hit so I don't overdraft my account. It's especially important as well if you have your bills set up to pay automatically. So if you do, it's easy to lose track of when those hit, and that can really impact your budgeting if you are budgeting. So that's it. Try to have all of your bills line up mid-month for when you get paid. That way you can tackle them right away, no problem. And you don't have cash sitting in your account that you're tempted to spend, because you can't spend money that you don't have in your accounts. Well, you could, but you charge it. Bad idea. Finally, your media recommendation for this month, and that is kind of twofold here. There's a company, Kiplinger's, that puts out a really, really awesome magazine. Here we go. As well as a new podcast that I'm really enjoying. And I just realized the irony with the magazine, because I just told you to cut subscriptions and now you might be tempted to add one. But I think I get this magazine for something like $4.99 for the entire year. I think I got that deal through discountmags.com. I'll put it on the screen. You also might be able to find these for free at your local library, so you could check them out there. You just can't remove them from the library in most cases. But again, the Kiplinger's podcast is also super awesome, and that costs you no money, and it's on all the major podcast platforms. So the thing I really like about Kiplinger's is, while they do sometimes keep up with, the financial news and things going on currently that people care about, a lot of the content that they put on the podcast as well as in the magazine is evergreen, meaning that this is useful information year round and year after year. And actually, there aren't many personal finance magazines out there. I think their biggest competitor was Money Magazine, and that actually shut down at some point, I think early 2019. So this is one of the last major players left in the personal finance magazine space. So yeah, Kiplinger's. Okay, that was all the tips this month. I really appreciate you if you got all the way to the end. As a reminder, I've mentioned this in my last monthly tip videos that I am going to link below all the notes that I put together for this video. It's something like 4 pages. So again, like the video if you appreciate all the work and research going into this project. That's one way to help other people find this video because it helps the YouTube algorithm. I really hope you feel motivated and not overwhelmed by all of these tips and strategies. Even if you only tackle a couple of these tips, you're still putting yourself in better financial shape than you were last month. Again, you can modify these to suit your own needs and life. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, drop a comment down below if you have any feedback on this series so far. And as always, I will talk to you guys soon. Or now. You can click there. Thanks. And actually, this year in 2020, the groundhog did not see his shadow, so that means we're gonna have an early spring. Anytime now. Come on, Seattle winter.